Cardle and Woolley on Talk 1370.
Kirk Watson, Captain Kirk, we could call him, I guess. Kirk Watson's newsletter. The growing needs and responsibilities of Austin don't go away just because of a state-implemented cap or loss of federal funds or inflation or tariffs or, well, you get it. But he's got to understand. You have to understand when there is a situation like a global pandemic and the government decides to print money and then the government printing presses start running dry because they can't keep doing it, you can't count on that money. You've got to know as a city, as a mayor, as a councilman, as a city manager, you've got to understand that that money was supposed to be used to ameliorate problems during a pandemic and not to be used for other things.
That is not how we do things in the city of Austin.
So let me ask you a question. You know how much money you bring in every month?
Mm-hmm. Not much.
Okay.
Not much.
So you have a budget.
I've lost bets that are higher than my salary.
Yeah. So this is
I had a payoff. I had a payoff last Monday.
Yeah, or lunch. So this is the city's budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, when I retired, I had to cut some things out that I was doing when I was working because the amount of money I was bringing in was less than, not much, but less than, I didn't have the opportunity to work overtime, things like that. So I had to look hard and long on what I wanted to spend my money on. Okay. And I cut some stuff that probably I didn't need anymore, right? No different with the city. They know now that they're not going to have enough money to do what they've been doing in the past because of whatever reasons. And you have to start looking at what you're going to cut. And the things that you can't cut is fire, police, emergency medical services.
Well,
you can't cut, there's nowhere in there does it say a city has to provide parks because they've already cut parks a ton, right? There's no longer
they're nice, but they're
nice.
But they're not life or death.
No, they're not. In life death stuff, you've got to fix the streets. You've got to fix the water infrastructure because you own the water utility. You have to fix the electrical grid infrastructure because you own the electric utility.
Mm-hmm.
You own the airport. When you own a bunch of stuff that are very high maintenance required deals, you're going to spend money. You don't have to give money to people who want to travel outside the state of Texas to get an abortion. You don't have to give money to people who want to fight their immigration status. That's not the city's responsibility. It's outside their lane. Look at some of the stuff. There's a guy, Austin Justice, puts out on X. He puts out some of the things the city of Austin cut checks for last week.
Okay. Do you have some of them in your head?
No, I apologize for not. But let me while we're talking here, before we get off, let me see if I can't find a couple of things that the city of Austin cut checks for.
Well, and I'm going to bring up something that may sound cold, and I don't mean to be cold because you know me, Dennis. You know how caring and compassionate I am. I am famous for being caring and compassionate. Go on.
Yeah.
Hit the buzzer. All right. But there is no law that, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I am, but there is no law that says we have to spend $200 million on homeless issues and then get nothing out of it.
All right. So here's this was from 2 days ago. A few things the city of Austin cut a check for last week. AIDS Services Austin, LGBTQ plus and HIV-related health support, $257,643. AIDS Healthcare Foundation, $4,136. Austin Area Urban League African American Community Advancement, $23,940. Caritas of Austin Homeless Relief and Refugee Settlement, $83,000. Catholic Charities of Central Texas Immigrant and Refugee Family Services, $9,800. Filipino Young Professionals of Austin, $750. Get Up Project Equity Focused Community Development, $12,442. Housing Connector Housing Placement, $58,744. Interfaith Action of Central Texas Immigrant and Refugee Assistance via Interfaith Coalition, $16,885. Cush, Austin, Texas, South Asian LGBTQ plus support group, $1,000. Out youth, which supports gay youth, 12,000. I mean, all right. And so here's the last one. Urban Alchemy, homeless outreach and community safety workforce, $571,747. Over $500,000 in 1 week to one NGO.
Mm-hmm. And most of that's left-wing stuff.
Yep. Total vendors, 802. Total amount dished out last week by the city of Austin to 802 vendors was $51,144,677.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know,
they're $40 million short. $11 million. They could have still spent $11 million and cut 1 week's worth of spending out, and you've met your thing. I mean,
well, the Lynn Woolley method of balancing a budget: pay the house payment first because I like living there. Number 2, pay the electricity bill.
Yep.
Number 3, pay the water bill. And then number 4, you just go right down the list. There are things that when you start getting to the bottom of that list, you can do without.
Right.
And that's what I think you're saying here.
Yeah.
The city has things it has to do. Police and fire at the top of the list, EMS. You've got to have those things. But do we have to keep giving stuff to encourage homosexuality? How much did it cost to paint Black Lives Austin in the middle of Congress Avenue? How many rainbows can we paint on 4th Street? How many pictures of Ann Richards can we put on light poles?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at, and he even put the other things that the amount of money we spent on homeless. Sunrise Community Church homeless services, $98,000 last week. Other One Foundation homeless workforce and shelter services, $479,455. Urban, again, another 297 out. Homeless outreach, another 297,000. VinCare of Austin, shelter for homeless women and children, 13,336. I'm okay with that one. I'm kind of it's a vulnerable population, but $175,166 for homeless services for formerly incarcerated people. So there is money that the city is spending that they shouldn't have to, or they shouldn't be, and we just simply they're going to have to tighten their belt.
Well, look at the budget highlights here. Office of Equity and Inclusion, $6.29 million. Do we need an Office of Equity and Inclusion?
No.
I would say that's counterproductive. That's left-wing crap.
Yep.
If you ask me.
Yeah, $150,000 for a new position to launch the Human Rights Division.
Race-based capital spending, $2.04 million for wayfinding signage and branding for the African American Cultural District. $2 million for decorative elements for the Mexican American Heritage Corridor. These are just, it's unbelievable to me. Minority contracting bureaucracy. The small
there's
and
the
minority
key word
business
right there, bureaucracy.
Yeah, yes. But the Small and Minority Business Resources Department will spend almost $3 million with 26 and a half full-time staff, a nearly 20% increase over 1 year. You know what? I used to own an advertising agency. One of the things that irritated me, there would be people that owned advertising agencies that looked like me. That is, facial hair and the whole male thing. But they would put their advertising agency in their wife's name so they could be a woman-owned business. And this used to drive me nuts. This kind of stuff makes it very easy to game the system.
Cardle and Woolley, weekday mornings, 7 to 10 a.m. on Talk 1370.